Hey guys, so today I'm going to be making a video, as you can see by the title, about some Sword and Shield products that are on the move. Now we're going to jump right into this. The first two are going to be quite obvious. The first one obviously is Lost Origin. As we can see over the past month, it's basically moved from 146 up into the 170s. That's like what, a 15% move, maybe more than that. This is why I think Lost Origin is probably going to be the next booster box to sell out on the Pokemon Center. I could be wrong with this, but just because there's such a large price discrepancy between the MSRP and the current market value, I think a lot of people are going to be turning to the Pokemon Center for their boxes. So yeah, I mean, this one's making huge moves. As we can see, if we actually zoom out, kind of over 6 months, it was down to like the 130s, and now it's up over 170. Let's see if it was a bit lower. Low point of, yeah, about 127 in October. We've already recovered from the massive reprint. Absolutely insane. LO is on the move. We'll look at some cards potentially as well, or at least one card from Lost Origin later in the video. Next one, obviously, Fusion Strike. I mean, this thing's moved from 160 a month ago up until about 230. That's almost a 50% move, which is just ridiculous. And if you look over the year, I mean, it was quite flat. It moved from about 140 to what? I don't know, 160. So not bad gains, but even before it sold out on the MSRP, it really didn't do too much. So again, that out of stock marker on the Pokemon Center is a huge buff for a lot of sets. So if you got into Fusion Strike before then, good for you. Now we're going to look at a couple. We'll start with Chilling Reign because this one's kind of obvious, but kind of not at the same time. This one slowly made decent moves over the past month. So we're at 173.39. Now we're pushing 190. This is big for Chilling Reign. I really want to see this box over $200. And as you can see, there are some sales right around 200, and listed median price is over $200. So I expect this box to push 200 quite soon. And now we're going to look at a couple that may be surprising. So Astral Radiance, about 130, what were we at here? 137.5 to 144.5, so $7. I mean, you're looking at not the largest gain, but that's still a decent 5-6%, whatever it is. And again, same thing here with Vivid Voltage. Vivid Voltage isn't really a set you would think would be on the move, but just because I think a lot of Sword and Shield's moving, people are also going back and looking at other Sword and Shield sets, even not the strongest ones, and trying to see if there is some value to be had there. So I mean, you're looking at a 5-6% move again as well. And again, this is a box that is down over the year period and hit a low of 125 at the end of the year, and we've seen it bounce back. So to me, this kind of just screams that people are looking at other boxes in Sword and Shield for value now that basically the heavy hitters like Lost Origin, your Fusion Strike, your Evolving Skies are going to the moon. People are trying to hop on these bandwagons as well and get some movement. And it makes sense that these boxes are moving, especially when we look at the cards inside the sets as well. So for example, the Machamp, surprising one here, went from about $80 to 93. So again, pretty solid move, 12% or whatever that is, a bit more. I didn't do the math off the top of my head, so it's kind of rough, but something around that. Again, this is the top card in Astral Radiance, so pretty nice that it's moving, and it's almost $100 card, so we're really going to have to see once it gets close to that $100 mark if it can push through that, especially once the set sells out on the Pokemon Center, if this will be a card over $100. And I mean, it's interesting for the set as a whole if it will break that barrier. Even if it doesn't, I still think Astral Radiance will do well long term. Obviously not as good as something like Evolving Skies or potentially Fusion Strike, but Astral Radiance is something I'm going to keep my eye on for sure. Next up here, we actually have the Pikachu VMAX, the Chonkachu from Vivid Voltage. Now this thing's actually broken $100, as we can see, 106. A month ago, this was, $98 card, so $8 movement, you're not looking at 10%, but 7-8%, whatever it is. And again, this is big that it's broken through $100. Impressive to me, and it really just shows the value of this card. This really is the only thing you can pull out of Vivid Voltage that's worth anything. It's interesting to me that a rainbow card like this is pushing 100, but I mean, fair enough, the market speaks. So Definitely something to keep your eye on. Do I think it's going to become a $200-$300 card? No. Next up, Giratina. As we can see, this card is on a huge move over the past month. It started at about 262. Now we're at, 281. So almost $20, which again would be like what, 8% or so, 8-9%. But if we actually zoom out on this card here, 1 year chart's not that great, but let's see. Yeah, I mean, you can tell it really hit a low once that reprint came, but 3 month chart shows us the best once we hit that low of about 230, 235 around there. It's been on a huge move, so up over about 15%. So again, this is a card to keep your eye on. Second most expensive card, I believe, in all of Sword and Shield. Beautiful artwork. Everyone really loves that it's a solid chase card. And this is why I'm so bullish on Lost Origin, is really just for this, the Aerodactyl. And obviously I have a couple Trainer Gallery cards, but the Giratina being the second best hit in all of Sword and Shield behind the Umbreon from Evolving Skies. I mean, that's really going to carry a set well in the future. So it's something I'm keeping my eye on for sure. This price, can it break $300? Who knows? I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it does in the future. We'll have to wait and see. That said, when we look at the box price, guys, it's really only going to be a matter of time before this thing sells out on the Pokemon Center. I mean, there's just such a large delta between the MSRP and what it's going for in the open market. 165, 175 sales all day, every day. Listed median almost $200. So that really tells you where we're going. Next up, Gengar from Fusion Strike. Beautiful card. I really do love this card. And as we can see over the past month, started here around 205. Now we're up here at 225. So what is that? Over 10% move approximately. If we want to zoom out a bit, this thing has just been on a tear for the whole year as well. Proving that it's one of the top hits in Sword and Shield because it hasn't really fallen off. Very impressive. I don't think you're going to see massive gains on the card in the future, but it's going to be something stable that can grow over time. And again, I'm not a singles expert, so do with that what you will. Again, I still think sealed is king, but if you want to get into singles, fair enough. Pick up some PSA 10s. Should do okay long term. Next up here, we have the Blaziken Alt Art from Chilling Reign. Again, over the past month, we started here around 170. Now we're pushing almost 190. Very surprising. That's over a 10% move. And, a lot of people don't like this card. They say the artwork's bad. It's kind of meh. And I can understand why, compared to a lot of the alt arts, like, when we look at, we'll zoom up so we get a better photo here. When we look at the Gengar, when we look at the Giratina, even when we look at the Machamp, like, I like the Machamp card, but yeah, I can understand why people aren't as high on the Blaziken in terms of, what it looks like and the artwork. But again, this card is just so hard to pull. The pull rates are insane. And, it's Blaziken. People say Blaziken's not one of the most popular Pokemon. I beg to differ. I think a lot of people love Blaziken. Obviously, it's not as popular as something like Gengar, Giratina, fair enough. But, it's still up there, so we got to give it its respect. And if we zoom out here, little 1 year chart, again, this thing got absolutely crushed from a high of around 228 down to about the 160s. So if you're buying down here, I mean, good for you. We're back up to 180. We'll go higher probably. I mean, I imagine at some point it'll break its all-time high. But again, I invest mainly in sealed. I don't really touch singles that much. So, do with that what you please. And then to finish off, we have the Galarian Moltres from Chilling Reign as well. Now, I just wanted to throw this one in here because, again, it is moving as well. We're at 118.5. Now we're at 129. So, again, pretty decent move. Not 10%, but what is that, like 6%, maybe 7%? I mean, it's doing quite well. If we zoom out, again, unsurprisingly, it had all-time highs, came back down. And it's actually been holding, like, decently well. I mean, we've had a large move in the past month after it dropped, but considering it hit a low in September, it's been fighting back up. And I threw this one in here just because a lot of people have been having the discussion now about which is the better set, whether it's Chilling Reign or Fusion Strike. And a lot of people are now pointing to Fusion Strike. Well, it's got the Gengar, it's got the Mew, it's got the Espeon, people love these Pokemon, blah, blah, blah. I understand that. But for the longest time, I mean, people were just sleeping on this set, and then the second it sells out on Pokemon Center, everyone just hops on the bandwagon. Whereas Chilling Reign, Chilling Reign's seen a pretty solid increase over the past year, and a much more healthy increase, in my opinion, compared to Fusion Strike. Like, this is just ridiculous, guys. This isn't normal. We shouldn't be expecting this, even when a set sells out on the Pokemon Center. And I even have people in my comments now saying that Fusion Strike's like a baby evolving skies, and Fusion Strike's gonna hit what, $300-$400 a box by the end of the year. Like, guys, this is supposed to be a lull for Pokemon investing. We shouldn't be expecting our boxes just to 100x, or not 100x, but grow by 100%, basically 2x every year. Like, it's ridiculous. I'm buying my boxes expecting to make somewhere between 10 and 15% a year. And if I do that, I'm going to be happy with my investments. So let's stop kidding ourselves and think just because it's got 3 decent Pokemon, it's just going to become a $400 box. And to compare this to Chilling Reign has good Pokemon as well. Like, you have, where is it? You have the Blaziken as the top card, but you also have Moltres. People like Moltres. And I don't have a photo, but the 3rd highest card in the set is the Gold Snorlax as well. And then you have depth. You have Zerazora, you have Galarian Slowpoke, you have a bunch of other cards as well. You have Ice Rider, Calyrex, Shadow Rider, Calyrex. So you have cards in the set. Beautiful alt arts as well. So for people just to say that, Fusion Strike has Gengar and Espeon and Mew, that it's going to outperform Chilling Reign because of that. I mean, when we compare those top 3, obviously I would give the edge to Fusion Strike, but it doesn't tell the whole story, And it kind of makes sense based on the fact that people weren't picking up Fusion Strike for 2-3 years, and then the second it sells out on the Pokemon Center, everyone wants a piece. So yeah, that's kind of just my rant on this. Like, guys, it's a bit ridiculous. I mean, I am expecting Lost Origin here to make a similar move to Fusion Strike. Once it sells out on the Pokemon Center, I imagine this could become, again, a $220, $230 box like Fusion Strike, potentially even outperform Fusion Strike in the long run. So, I am investing into these products. I actually just bought another case of Lost Origin, like 20 booster bundles. So now my overall position is like 37 booster 37 booster boxes and like 45 booster bundles. So I'm invested heavily into Lost Origin. I do think it's going to be one of the next to make a big move. And break through that $200 mark. Again, Chilling Reign is going to break through 200 as well, but guys, can we stop pretending that these are going to be $400 boxes by, 2024, 2025? Like, way too many people are setting their expectations way too high. And I also think that leads to opportunity for us. Like, short term, 2024, 2025, I think even 2026 as well, we are going to see a low in, the Pokemon trading card game, in the hobby as a whole. So it's going to be an opportunity to look at these new sets coming out that aren't going to have the demand that Sword and Shield has, and really invest wisely into these sets. And, we're going to be making good gains for 10 years down the road, 15 years down the road. And that's personally my mindset. When I'm buying these boxes, I'm thinking for the long term. Now, if I can make money in the short term on something like a Fusion Strike, if I can 2x sell half my boxes, get my money back, and then have basically a free roll position in the box, I'm going to be okay with that. But if I have to sit on things for 5 or 6 years, I'm okay with that as well. Let me know in the comments down below as well if you're invested in any of these sets. I always find it interesting what you guys are investing in. So yeah, with that said, thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Stay safe wherever you are in the world, and I'll catch you in the next one.